You're enrolled. You're paying or borrowing to pay. And something has shifted. Not dramatically, not all at once, but consistently and in one direction. The gap between what this was supposed to feel like and what it actually feels like keeps getting wider. And the question you haven't said out loud yet, the one you've been running in the background for weeks, maybe months, is whether you made a mistake. Here's what this video is going to do. By the time it ends, you'll have 4 specific, checkable conditions that will tell you, in your numbers, not someone else's, whether continuing is still the financially stronger decision or whether the math has already turned. Not an opinion. Not a pep talk. A diagnostic you can run right now with information you already have. That's the promise. Let's get into it. So let's start with why this decision feels so hard to think through clearly. Because it isn't just complicated. It's been made deliberately difficult to evaluate. There are 3 mechanisms doing that, and naming them is the first step to getting past them. The first one is the sunk cost trap. This is the voice that says, but I've already put in 2 years, I can't just leave now, and it feels like logic, it feels like responsibility. But here's what the research on this actually shows. Money already spent is gone regardless of what you decide next. It does not change the future value of the investment. It is economically irrelevant to the decision in front of you. The only question that matters is, from this point forward, does continuing produce a return that justifies its cost? That's it. Everything before today is already spent. The sunk cost trap doesn't feel like a trap because it sounds like accountability. It isn't. It's a cognitive bias that keeps people in bad investments long after the math has inverted. And it's the single most common reason people finish degrees that were never going to pay off. The second mechanism is the social permission block. Leaving college without finishing carries an enormous social weight. Parents, peers, cultural scripts that treat a degree as the baseline of responsible adulthood. That weight is real. It's not imaginary, but it belongs in a conversation about values and relationships, not in a calculation about financial return on investment. The 2 conversations keep getting merged. This video is going to separate them. The third mechanism is financial dread that stays vague. Most people in this situation have a general sense that the numbers are bad. But bad without a specific figure is not a calculation, it's anxiety. And anxiety produces paralysis. Calculation produces decisions. What this video is going to do is give you the framework to move from the first to the second. From vague dread to a number you can actually work with. That's a solvable problem. Here's how. Let's be precise about this. The dropout conversation usually gets framed in one of 2 ways. The cautionary tale. I left college and it ruined my career. Or the exception story. I dropped out and built a company. Both are real. Neither is the data. Here's what the data actually shows. Leaving college without a degree does produce, on average, lower lifetime earnings than completing a 4-year degree. That is true in aggregate, but aggregate data hides the conditions under which that average reverses. And those conditions are more common than most people are told. First, completion rates. Roughly 40% of students who enroll in 4-year programs do not finish within 6 years. That is not 40% who dropped out in year 1. That is 40% who enrolled with full intention to finish and didn't. The system selling you the degree has every incentive to show you the average outcome of people who finish. It has no incentive to show you the average outcome of people who started, didn't finish, and ended up with the debt but not the credential. That is a specific, documented group. And their outcomes are significantly worse than both completers and people who never enrolled. The worst financial position in this equation is not dropping out. It is accumulating significant debt toward a degree and then not finishing. If you are currently on a trajectory that puts you at risk of that outcome, academically, financially, or motivationally, the calculation changes substantially. Second, field and credential alignment. The earnings premium from a 4-year degree is not uniform across fields. Labor market data consistently shows a wide spread. Certain fields producing strong, durable premiums over a career. Others producing premiums that peak early, compress quickly, or are now being displaced by skills-based alternatives. The aggregate college premium number that gets cited in these conversations is a blended average of both groups. It includes surgeons and philosophy graduates in the same figure. That number is not your number. Your number depends on your field, your debt load, your completion probability, and what the alternative path in your specific direction actually pays. That's what the 4 conditions are going to help you check. Here are the 4 conditions. These are not opinions. They are checkable, specific, and based on observable data about who actually ends up better off leaving versus staying. Go through each one. Condition 1. Your projected debt-to-income ratio exceeds 1.5 at graduation. Take your total projected debt at graduation, including what you've already borrowed and what you still have left to borrow. Divide it by the median starting salary in your specific field. If that number is above 1.5, the repayment math becomes very difficult, very fast. Above 2.0, independent research consistently categorizes it as financially distressed debt. This is not a judgment, it is arithmetic. You can check this number right now. Condition 2. Your field does not have a legal or licensing credential requirement. There is a specific list of fields where the degree is a legal prerequisite. Medicine, law, certain engineering specializations, licensed clinical roles. Outside of that list, the degree is functioning as a screening proxy, not a requirement. And that proxy is being removed at scale. Google, IBM, Apple, Accenture, and over 650 other major employers have formally dropped degree requirements from significant portions of their hiring. Skills-based hiring is not a trend piece. It is a documented structural shift in how hiring decisions are being made right now. If your target field is not on the legal requirement list, the credential is optional. That changes the calculation. Condition 3. A credible alternative path exists in your specific direction, with a documented timeline under 18 months and starting salaries within 20% of the degree path. This is where the sunk cost argument collapses entirely. If an alternative path gets you to comparable employment in 18 months or less, at a cost that is a fraction of remaining tuition, the sunk cost argument is not a reason to stay. It's a reason to stop adding to the loss. The question is not, should I lose what I already invested? You already spent that. It's gone. The question is, which of these 2 paths, starting today, produces the better financial outcome over the next 5 years? In a growing number of field and role combinations, that answer is no longer automatically the degree. Condition 4. Your completion probability is genuinely in question. This one is uncomfortable, but it belongs in the calculation. If you are academically struggling, financially unable to continue without significant additional debt, or motivationally disconnected in a way that has been consistent for more than 1 semester, your completion probability is not 100%. And an incomplete degree with full debt is, as the data shows, the worst outcome in this equation. If conditions 1, 2, and 3 apply, and condition 4 is also in play, the math has turned. That is not a failure. It is information, and it is information you were never given in the conversation that got you enrolled in the first place. If you want to run these 4 conditions on your actual numbers, not a hypothetical, not a national average, but your debt load, your field, your specific alternative path, there's a calculator in the description built exactly for that. It's called the Degree ROI Calculator. It takes 15 minutes. It produces your number. Link is in the description and the pinned comment. Now let's talk about what each direction actually looks like in practice, because the decision without a map is still just a decision. What you need is the first 3 steps in either direction. If the 4 conditions apply and you decide to leave, step 1. Before you do anything official, talk to your financial aid office about your current loan status. Federal student loans have a grace period that begins at withdrawal. Knowing that timeline before you withdraw protects you. Step 2. Identify your specific alternative path before you leave, not after. The people who leave without a direction are the ones the cautionary tales are about. The people who leave with a skills-based target, a 90-day start plan, and an understanding of what the first portfolio piece looks like, their outcomes are substantially different. Step 3. Separate the financial decision from the family conversation. These are 2 different conversations, and they require different preparation. The financial decision is math. Make it first, on your own terms. The family conversation is about relationships and values. Have it second, with the math already done. If the 4 conditions do not all apply, and you decide to stay, the calculation is not finished just because you're continuing. The conditions that didn't apply today can change. Track your debt-to-income ratio each semester. Monitor your field for structural shifts in hiring requirements. Know your completion probability honestly. And if it changes, run the calculation again. The decision is not a one-time event. It's a recurring check against the same four numbers. And here is the thing that the dropout conversation almost never says clearly enough. Finishing a degree you are financially capable of finishing in a field with a genuine credential requirement or a durable earnings premium is still a legitimate path. This channel is not against degrees, it is against the decision being made without the math. The math is what this video gave you. The decision is yours. If you want to go from the four conditions to your specific number, your debt, your field, your alternative path, the degree ROI calculator in the description does exactly that. Link is there and in the pinned comment. Which of the four conditions landed hardest for you? And how close does your own situation sit to that threshold? Here's what to take away from this video. The question, should I drop out, has been treated as a moral question for so long that most people never realize it is actually a financial one. A moral question asks, what kind of person leaves? A financial question asks, under what specific conditions is leaving the smarter investment? Those are not the same question, and only one of them has a checkable answer. The four conditions this video mapped are that answer. Your debt-to-income ratio at graduation, whether your field has a legal credential requirement, whether a credible alternative path exists in your specific direction, and whether your completion probability is genuinely solid. If all four apply, the math has turned. Not your character, not your capability, the math. And the math was never hidden, nobody just showed it to you. Before you close this, the next time someone asks you why you're questioning a decision you were told was the only responsible one, you now have a better answer than "I don't know." You have the four conditions, you have the framework, and you know how to run the numbers. That's not irresponsibility. That's the clearest-eyed financial thinking you've done in this entire process. You were right to question it. Keep that.